You're listening to Kizuki, the podcast. I'm Mae Yoshikawa, and I define the Japanese concept of Kizuki as the following. Kizuki 1. A moment of epiphany, an aha of realization or insight which opens the knower to a new dimension of truth that was formerly unknown. 2. Steps in an incremental growth of awareness, resulting in a movement from ignorance to greater awareness of the bigger picture. A kind of knowing that cannot be undone, that cannot be unrealized. As a longtime yoga and meditation practitioner, a world traveler, and curious self-explorer, I'm obsessed with Kizukis. Listen on each week for inspiring and enlightening stories that may just tip you over for your next aha. On this week's episode, soy or sauce? Japan is such a fun and sometimes funny, weird place to live in. I mean, if you've traveled around the world and maybe lived in different countries, it's definitely unique. And as is true in every country and culture, you have to stay a while, not be a tourist and live immersed in the culture for a year or two or three to begin to have your own sense of how the people within the culture actually think and what makes them tick and what they like and what they don't like and what are the taboos and no-nos and what are the things that spark joy for people, right? So there's this Japanese phrase, and it's kind of funny. I've known it for a long time. I must have first come across it, maybe, I don't know, as a teenager, reading manga or something, and they would talk about boys, handsome boys, and refer to them either as shoyugao or sosugao, meaning soy sauce faced or Worcester sauce face. Am I even saying that right? Worcester sauce. Anyway, the idea is, Asian faces, Japanese faces, there's a typically kind of a lighter, but still flavorful, handsome face that's a more Asian look, and apparently that's referred to as a soy sauce handsome, soy sauce face. And the other is a more kind of thicker, chiseled, sweet face. Like a Gaston type, I think, from Beauty and the Beast, right? In many ways, almost not Japanese looking type of Western handsome. And although I had been around these expressions and the language for many years of my life, I didn't really have an idea of exactly what kind of face or what kind of handsome that was supposed to point to, until someone said to me recently about my two sons that Isa is soy sauce handsome and Aiden is Worcester sauce handsome. And I just thought that was so funny. And for the first time in my life, it clicked. Okay, they're both good looking, but true in very different ways. And I won't reveal who, but the person who was telling me about my children being either soy sauce faced or Worcester sauce faced, she added that I actually prefer the soy sauce flavor. So that means that between your two boys, my preference is Isa kind of a face. And I just thought it was so charming. But it led me to think, gosh, tastes. Everyone has their own taste, and everyone gets to. You get to have your preferences. You get to like what you like and own it. Okay? Especially when it comes to choosing your boys or your men or your women or your girls or however you want to put it, or your taste in music, perhaps, or maybe the way you dress. Whatever it is, you get to choose what sparks joy for you and own it. So, you know that whole craze about the KonMari organizing and tidying up method and everything, which is all well and good. I love it so much. I love tidying up my spaces. And the whole philosophy, the beauty of it is that it's centered around the idea of what sparks joy for you. So I've actually had a KonMari consultant help me tidy up my entire house. But the consultant would actually guide me to touch every article, whether it was a plate or a bowl in my kitchen or some clothing materials in my closet or books on my bookshelf. She would actually have me hold the item, feel the paper, or move my palm across the textile to gather whether or not my nervous system is actually reacting to this piece in joy. In short, whether or not it's sparking joy for me, which I think is just such a brilliant way. But this is kind of like one-upping the whole idea of whether or not something sparks joy for you. It's one thing to know when you touch something, see something, or come across something, whether or not it sparks joy for you. And it's another level to then know yourself well enough to know what type of face or what type of flavor or what type of idea, what's the general direction of that which sparks joy for you. Because if you can be that progressive about knowing what sparks joy for you, then you don't have to be receptive. You don't have to wait for someone to present to you options A, B, or C, which one sparks joy for you and which one doesn't. You can sit there with the infinitude of options before you and perhaps, like going to a restaurant without a menu and requesting, this is what I feel like eating. This is the mood that I'm in, and these are the flavors and the colors and the feeling sensations that would really spark joy for me. And to be able to articulate that, I think, is just a whole other level of knowing yourself and knowing yourself well enough to be able to communicate that with others. Whether it's about your choice in, potential partners, or whether it's your choice in clothing and fashion, or whether it's how you like to spend your time in bed. Whatever it is, to know yourself well enough to know what sparks joy for you, then actually helps you to set yourself up for more joy in your life. How awesome is that? My question to you is, how well do you know yourself? And if you are in an exploratory mood, you can begin with some self-inquiry. What are the feelings? What are the colors? What are the experiences? What are the sensations that make me feel joyful, more relaxed, open, giving, pink, wonderful, whatever it is that you want to feel. And yes, own it and know that you deserve it. Thank you for listening. Learn more about me in my upcoming book, Kizuki, Realizations Beyond Time and Death, at my website, maey.live, or find me on Instagram at maey_live. Yoshikawa.